Good morning, Year 2. This is Thursday, and this is the first lesson out of 2 maths lessons that I'm going to record for you today. I'm just going to explain something new that we're going to try today. I've asked that we've got quite a few children that have joined us live. So these children are going to use the chat function to try and answer some of my questions. Mrs. Stevens will read out their answers. So your job, if you're watching this as a video and as a recording, your job is to get the answer before Mrs. Stevens reads it out. So you've got a bit of an extra challenge today because you'll hear Mrs. Stevens reading out some of the some answers and some numbers, and those numbers are going to come from the children that are watching me live today. So try and get there before Mrs. Stevens reads out an answer. I'm going to start to share my screen and go to my visualizer. What you're going to see is actually the solve it from yesterday. Quite a few people got that solve it wrong yesterday, so I want to have just a quick look at how to answer the solve it question that had the pictures of numbers. So hopefully you'll be able to see my screen now. Now, Mrs. Stevens, I won't be able to hear any notifications now, so if you can either WhatsApp me or yeah, Mrs. Stevens gives me a thumbs up, so that tells me you can see my screen. Okay, this is the question I want to talk about. And it was one where you had 4 different options, and you had to write down which of those options went in this space to make this statement true and correct. Lots of people answered D and lots of people answered C, but it actually wasn't either of those. I've got quite a lot of these, so if these are tricky, then we can try them again and do different ones, because they really make you think about what you can see mathematically. Let's start off with this bit here. Now, it might be that some of you only counted those 4 red beads there, but what you needed to do was count up all of that bead string. It's actually split into 10s and 1s. There are 10 white beads here, and then 4 red beads. And the idea was to use your place value, a bit like we do with our Deans and our Numicon, in fact, to work out how many beads there are here altogether. So if we have 10 white beads and 4 red beads, 10 and 4, and I'm just going to make myself a little note, 10 and 4 I know is 14. So I can write 14 there just to remind me that that's what that picture means. So over here, this picture means 14. Then we've got this sign. Now, we looked at that yesterday. Have a think about what that sign means. It's either the less than or the greater than. Which one? 14 is greater than is what that means. And then we've got a space. Now, 14 is greater than one of these numbers here. And I'm going to make myself a little note again underneath each of the pictures so that it can help me to compare not only the pictures I can see, but the numbers that they represent. Let's start with this one. This is a Numicon shape. If you might recognise it straight away as being a 9. If you don't, you can count up the spaces, the circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that Numicon shape represents the number 9. Then we move on to picture B, and I've got my Deans here. I've got a 10s rod and then 4 units cubes or 1s cubes. So a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Ooh. So that picture also represents 14. If we move on to picture C, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counters, I think they are, counters in a row, and I can count those in 5s. 5, 10, 15 plus 1. 15 plus 1 is 16. And then D, I've just got 10s rods. There are no 1s here at all. So I can count just in 10s, 10, 20, 30. And now by recognising what those pictures show, I should be able to think about which of those should go in here. 14 is greater than one of these. It isn't greater more than 30. 14 is not more than 30. It's not more than 16 either. It's not more than 14 because it's exactly the same. So the answer actually was A that went in there. 14 is greater than A because A shows 9. Now, I'll find some more of those year 2 because they are really useful for stretching your brain and making you think about the maths we're doing just in a slightly different way. Pictures are really useful. We've used Dean's on many occasions. So I'll try and find some more of those. I just wanted to go over that because I know quite a few of you found that quite tricky. Okay, now I'm going to try and zoom out. Oh, it is working today because this is what I left you with at the end of yesterday's maths lesson. And I asked you to think about whether this statement was actually true and whether or not it made any sense at all. Thank you for those of you that did make a comment in the General's post page to say, lots of you said you thought it did make sense. And you quite rightly recognised that what this is doing is comparing these two numbers and then comparing these two numbers. So we would read it, and you can read it along with me. 14 is less than 67 is greater than 23. And if we split it up into its two parts, 14 is less than 67. That is indeed true. 14 is less than 67. And then we can compare these two. 67 is greater than 23. And again, that's absolutely right as well. 14 is less than 67 is greater than 23 is true. It's a bit of an odd way of talking. We wouldn't talk like that normally, but as a mathematical statement, if you said it was correct, you are absolutely right. Well done. We are again going to think about these greater than and less than signs in maths today. And I'm going to start off with just writing one of them on my whiteboard. All I want you to do is to call out or say which sign I have written. Let's start with this one. So call out to the screen or tell somebody in your house which of the signs that is. It's the greater than sign because the great big bit comes first, which means that this is which sign? Hopefully you said less than. This is the less than sign. The smaller bit comes first, the little less than side. And then here's your first question that you can either type in the box or just say out loud. I'm going to put two numbers. Let's start off with that number and this number. And what I want you to think about is which of those signs would go in there, but also how do you write it? So I've got the number 34 is something than 27. Have a think about what goes in that box. If you want to type it in the chat box, then you can. You'll need to use your shift key, and then the greater than, less than signs on your keyboard are just next to the shift key. So you can either tell somebody at home or you can type it in the chat box. I'll give you a minute to think about it. 34 is what to 27? Hopefully you said 34 is greater than 27, but the real challenge is to know which way round to write that sign. The greater than sign goes that way round. So hopefully that was the one you were thinking of. The greater than sign is this way round. 34 is greater than 27. Let's do another pair of numbers, which will rub out my greater than sign. And I'm going to put and so again, think about what sign goes in the middle and which way round you write it. That's the most important bit. Because I'm sure we know that 8 is less than 32. But the challenge is which way round does that less than sign go? Hopefully you were thinking of that sign there. 8 is less than 32. We'll do a couple more of these. A I've done them both now, so who knows which one I shall choose next. I'm going to have the number 56 on that side and 72 on that side. Say the statement, filling in the box, and then think about which way round that sign has to go. 56 is less than 72. The less than sign is this one here with the little bit coming first. 56 is less than 72. Same digits in both of these numbers, so think carefully about what they say. Work out what goes in the box and which way around it goes. 67 is less than 76. The less than sign goes that way. I'm going to make this slightly more challenging, and here is a time when you can tell me a number, because this time I'm going to put, let's have the number 43. Then I'm going to have that sign there. What I want you to do is to type in the chat box, and Mrs. Stevens, if you want to turn your microphone on, you can tell me some answers that the children are typing in. I'm not going to read this out loud. I want you to read it carefully. That number, this sign, you two, can you type in what could go in that box? And Mrs. Stevens will pick some answers.
We have 1.
1 could go in that box, yeah. What about something a little bit more adventurous?
22.
Indeed, 22 could go in that box.
42.
Yes.
30.
2 more?
10. And 12.
And 12, absolutely, you are quite right. So if I leave it with my number 12, can everybody read this all together? 43 is greater than 12. You have to pick a number that was smaller. The smaller side is on this side of the sign, therefore the smallest number goes here. The great big bit comes first, therefore this sign is the greater than sign. Excellent, okay. What about if I wrote this? And let's do the same thing again. So if Mrs. Stevens has her microphone on and year 2 are typing, what could go in my box here?
$100. 56.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
56.
56. So this now says 89 is less than 56. I'm afraid I can't accept 56 as an answer. 89 is not less than 56. It's more than 56. So not 56.
We've got 99.
89 is less than 99, quite right.
112.
1 for my 100, and then the number 12, 112.
99.
Yeah, 99 we've had already.
Sorry, 90.
90 is indeed correct. 89 is less than 90, only by 1, but it is. 2 more.
91.
Ooh. And the last one.
80,000.
80,000.
Yeah.
So 80 and then 3 zeros for my 1,000. 80,000. I'm going to skip back then to 91 so we can all read that number together. Okay, everyone read this out loud with me. 89 is less than 91. This is exactly what you are going to do in your do it task today. In your do it task, just like we had to start with, you've got some numbers, let's say 33, and then a box, and then 25. What you need to do year 2 is to write down the correct sign to go in that middle space. And I think you've got 10 questions in your do it. Your do it task is attached to the assignment today as a sheet. So you can either print it out and write on it, or you can just write down the numbers as mathematical statements on a separate piece of paper and just copy from your screen. It's entirely up to you. But for the do it, you have to enter the signs in the correct space. Now, I do want you to think carefully about which sign is which. So don't just go, oh yeah, that's the biggest number, and then find the biggest number and put the big side. Actually read each statement out to know which sign is which. This one is the greater than sign. So I want you to read each statement and say the whole thing out loud. 33 is greater than 25. That helps you to know whether you're getting the signs the right way around and what they actually say. Your twist it is the bit that we have just practiced. So again, you'll have a number and you'll have a sign, but this time you'll have a box, either that side or possibly this side. What you need to do is write a correct number in the box. And again, that's attached to your assignment as well. And you can print it and write on it or just copy out the numbers. It's entirely up to you. So that's the end of maths, CSI Maths Part 1. I'm going to stop the recording. If I stop sharing my screen, you can see me. I'm going to, oh, is that working? I've just got a white box. Oh yeah, there you are. I am going to stop, and that is your do it and twist it task. But whilst you are getting on with those, I am then going to record a second video with your solve it, which goes a little bit further at using the greater than and less than signs with calculations as well as numbers. So make sure that you have got the hang of doing this bit first. Don't go on to the solve it until you really know the greater than and less than signs, because the second video gets a little bit more complicated using calculations as well. So you don't need to tune in for that one. You can watch that later once you've got the hang of just using those signs with a number. So if I stop recording now, you can go and get on with your do it and twist it, and I will record your solve it video. Thank you very much.